guys, it's Tina back in for another story. I just wanted to, I hope you noticed that I have a new camera, so I went ahead and bought a new camera. I hope the clarity's better. I think it's when I go through the editors. Anyway, today I wanted to talk about domestic violence, and the reason why I am doing a story on domestic violence is because of what I have been recently going through. So the domestic violence that I'm speaking of is more psychological than it is physical. Okay, so my story was, one that I was able to get away from, and I have been involved in a physical domestic violence relationship like that, but that was when I was really young. So, for the past 2 years before I left, I wasn't even with him. I was just living in his house until I was able to get a better job and then move back to California, which is where I am now. So I had kept a relationship with this person, not a physical or anything, any type of relationship, more of a friendship with this person. And I'm not sure if he thought that maybe one day I was going to come back or what he thought what was going to happen. But I remain friends. There's quite a few ex-boyfriends that I have as friends. They're just friends. I don't have any animosity towards them or or any issue like that, so I just, the person was there for me at a time that I really needed them, and that was like right after my back surgery, so I was kind of like wounded at that point, so in any event, last night I got these crazy messages, and it was all over money, and a person that was trying to get money from me that has like everything, and here I am, it was just ridiculous to me. So once he started to scream and yell, then I hung up the phone. Right after I hung up the phone, I got so many messages of telling me that no one will ever want me again, and I'm just awful, and I'm old, and and I allowed him to get under my skin. Okay, so while I was living with him, he would say subtle things, and this is called gaslighting. And they're like subtle put downs. Okay, so these put downs, like I remember telling myself or thinking in my head when he would do this to me that, oh, this is just him, like, he thinks that I don't know who I am, or that like I'm not capable of finding another man. Like, to me, I just thought it was silly more. But the more that you hear it, and if you hear it especially every day or often, it gets into your head, and it really did put me down for a little bit, so I am just here to tell you my story, and then also to tell another story, because psychological abuse, domestic abuse, is as though it's not, likely not going to be physical and hopefully not end in death, but there are many cases where domestic violence does end in death, and that's the unfortunate part. So I'm glad that I was able to get out of my situation. I hope that this story helps any person that's in a situation that can get out of it and or should get out of it. If a person is treating you this way, it's usually a manipulative person, a person that is more than likely insecure and just does not want to let you go for any reason, and they're willing to insult you or gaslight you to make you feel like you're not worthy, so that you won't be able to, or you'll think, they'll have it in your head that you're not able to find someone else because you're not good enough. So that's totally untrue, and I hope that that message is just made sure that it's out there. There's a story that I was reading about today. This happened on October the 13th, so it's very recent. So this is an alleged crime still, because though the suspect has been charged, there is no resolution. So again, due process, innocent until proven guilty, things like that. So this happened in Tampa, Florida, on October the 13th. A woman, there was a domestic dispute where a man, his name is Freddie Adams, he had allegedly assaulted his girlfriend. The girlfriend has not been identified. Again, I said this is very recent, so there's not a lot of information. When I get the information, I will put it out there, and hopefully we can get more information about her story. So what happened, from what I've read so far, is that in Tampa, the police were called and an ambulance came and all that, and the boyfriend was arrested and charged for battery. So he was in jail. But the woman that I believe she was 28 or 30 years old, like I said, there's all the information is not out yet. She denied any help. So the police were able to arrest the man. Like, you know, back in the day, it was like the woman had to press charges. I remember my mom's times, like the woman had to press charges in order for the police to do anything. And then too many women were being murdered. So then that law changed in most states, and therefore the woman no longer has to press charges once they see that there's abuse going on, whether it's a male or a female. So when the ambulance arrived to the scene, the woman had lacerations and you could tell that she had been beaten. And so she denied the help of the ambulance. So far now, this is the story that I'm getting now. These facts could change over time because this is so recent. And remember, as I said, this is very recent and alleged because we do not have a guilty plea or deal or sentence or whatever that's going to end up likely happening to Freddie Adams. So she denies physical help. 2 days later, one of her friends goes to her house and finds that she has passed away. So later the coroner, you know, does the examination, the autopsy, and the death is ruled homicide, and it's also ruled that she died from blunt force trauma to the head. So she was likely beaten more, but she succumbed to the injuries that he gave to her, supposedly, allegedly. Again, this is very new. So she succumbed to her injuries and has passed away. So domestic violence is no joke, whether it's psychological or whether it is, especially if it's physical. You know, there are warning signs that people give you. You know, when you see someone freak out or do something, like I remember in the last relationship I was in, I would see this person like go off like once a month on someone, not really thinking that that one day that was someone's going to be me. I mean, we all have our moods. I'm not trying to sit here and say like I'm this perfect person. I'm definitely not. I'm far from that. But domestic violence is really no joke. I will have left you information links and all the information that you need if you need to get out of a situation. This could be males or females. If you're in a situation where there's violence and or gaslighting. I was recently with a man who, you know, I started a date, but he was subtly put me down. And so I just, you know, at my age and where I'm at in my life, I no longer, I walk away from arguments, drama. As soon as that stuff happens, I'm out. For the most, you know, it's just it's not worth it. If I had stayed in Arizona, who knows what would have happened there. I mean, I don't think he would physically have hurt me, but you know, anything's possible. It's kind of funny because one night he actually called 911 on himself when I was on the phone with my mother, and my mother was about to call the police. So he calls 911 drunk, and then when the police shows up, he tells me, I better get him out of this. You know, this is my fault that the police are there, when he's the one that actually called 911 on himself. But I told him, I remember saying, like, who do you think's going to get arrested here? You're the drunk one and I'm the sober one. You know, so I just, you know, it ended up that he didn't get arrested. He did not go off the property. There was no physical violence. There was a lot of yelling. It was extremely embarrassing. I often wonder like what the neighbors must think, because though the homes were big, they were close together, so you're able to hear like the person next to you. So anyways, guys, I hope you stay safe out there, and please, you know, reach out for help if you're having any of these issues. Get out before things get too much. Okay, take care of yourselves until the next video. Thanks.